Luma had always been small even for her species. Her green skin shimmered faintly under the city lights, and her large violet eyes were full of curiosity. She lived on Xiphora, a planet of gleaming towers, floating vehicles, and robotic helpers. To most aliens, life was about perfection. Shiny homes, perfect gadgets, and flawless machines. But Luma had always been different. She noticed things others ignored. She noticed kindness. She noticed laughter. And most of all, she noticed humans. Humans were rare on Xiphora. Only a handful had arrived from Earth, and they were strange, soft creatures who smiled easily and cared about little things. Luma's favorite human was Mrs. Harper, a gentlewoman who lived in a small, slightly crooked building at the edge of the city. Mrs. Harper would smile at Luma whenever she saw her, sharing small treats or stories from her home planet. Luma liked humans because they seemed to understand feelings in ways most aliens did not. One day, Luma overheard a group of alien children talking about birthdays. "Why would anyone need a whole day just for one creature?" scoffed Krell, a tall, shiny alien with chrome-like skin. "It is human custom," replied Mira, who always seemed more curious than cruel. "Humans give gifts. They celebrate time with others." Luma's ears twitched. She had never heard of such a thing before. A day just for someone? A day to make someone feel happy? And gifts? Something given because someone cares, not because it had value or was perfect. That night, Luma lay awake in her small room. The city outside hummed with drones and vehicles, but her mind buzzed louder. Mrs. Harper's birthday was coming soon. Could Luma give her a gift? The idea made her heart race. She did not have money or rare items like the other aliens. All she had were small scraps, bits of discarded materials, and a wild imagination. But maybe that was enough. The next morning, Luma set out on her mission. She wandered the streets near the human district, observing carefully. Humans did not live like aliens. Their homes were messy, cluttered, but warm. Small things seemed important to them. A crooked picture frame, a slightly broken music box, a torn piece of fabric. Luma did not understand why, but she could see the love in their eyes when they looked at these things. Her eyes widened when she noticed a pile of discarded items at the end of the street. The humans called it a trash market. Machines had dumped broken gadgets, half-used toys, scraps of paper, and colorful fabrics. To most aliens, it was disgusting. To Luma, it was treasure. She stepped carefully through the pile, her small hands brushing over discarded cards, shiny wrappers, and torn papers. She imagined what she could make with these things. Maybe she could fix the music box. Maybe she could decorate a frame with the fabrics. Maybe she could write a little note to tell Mrs. Harper she cared. Luma's excitement grew, but so did her fear. Other alien children had always teased her for caring about humans. "Humans are weak. Why waste time?" they said. "Your gifts will mean nothing." But Luma ignored them. She knew there was something special about humans, something her own species could not understand. That evening, she returned to her small room with a few chosen items: a cracked photo frame, a half-broken music box, a colorful ribbon, and some old paper. Her hands trembled as she held them. Each piece was imperfect, but in its imperfection, Luma saw potential. She examined the music box first. Its metal surface was scratched, its gears stuck, but she remembered watching Mrs. Harper wind a similar box. The soft melodic tune that filled the room had made Luma's heart flutter. She wanted to fix it. She wanted it to sing again. Next, she looked at the photo frame. It had once held a human photograph, but the glass was cracked and the picture faded. Still, Luma imagined placing a new picture inside, maybe one she could draw herself. Then she studied the ribbon. It was frayed at the ends, but bright in color. Luma smiled. Humans liked colors, she thought. Bright colors made them happy. Perhaps the ribbon could tie everything together. Finally, she picked up the old paper. She had never written for a human before, but she wanted to try. She could write a small note, maybe a few words in the human language she had been practicing. "Happy birthday." From Luma. It was simple but heartfelt. As she prepared to leave, a loud whirring sound echoed behind her. A patrol drone hovered above, its single eye scanning the streets. Luma froze. Other children had told stories of drones catching little aliens in the human trash markets. They were strict, serious, and never forgiving. The drone's light swept over her pile. Luma ducked behind a heap of papers and wrappers, holding her breath. Her heart pounded. She had never run from a drone before. She imagined being carried off and scolded, and a small tear escaped her violet eye. But the drone moved on, uninterested in her tiny presence. Luma let out a sigh of relief. She realized then that her mission was risky, but it was worth it. She wanted to give something to Mrs. Harper, not because it was perfect or expensive, but because it came from her heart. Back in her room, Luma examined her treasures once more. She touched the cracked frame, imagining the smile on Mrs. Harper's face when she received it. She held the music box carefully, promising herself she would make it sing again. She smoothed the ribbon and set the paper aside, already thinking about what she would write. That night she could not sleep. Her mind was alive with ideas. She planned how she would combine the music box, the frame, and the ribbon into a single gift. Maybe she could fix the music box, place the ribbon around it, and attach the photo frame with a picture she drew herself. Then the note would complete it, a human treasure made by a little alien girl. As Luma drifted into a light sleep, she dreamed of Mrs. Harper's face. She imagined the human smiling, laughing, and maybe even crying with happiness. Luma did not fully understand human emotions, but she understood this. Humans cared deeply about effort, thoughtfulness, and love. And she wanted Mrs. Harper to know that Luma cared too. The next morning, Luma woke early, her eyes shining. She ate a small breakfast of nutrient pods but barely tasted them. Today, she would begin her real work. She would clean the music box, draw the picture, and write the note. The task seemed daunting, but she felt a strange confidence. Perhaps humans were fragile, but they were also wise in their simplicity. Her first challenge was the music box. She set it on her small work table and studied its gears. Using tiny alien tools, she carefully loosened the stuck mechanisms. The gears resisted, creaking and groaning, but Luma persisted. She remembered how Mrs. Harper's box had sounded, a gentle melody that seemed to carry warmth in its notes. She wanted to recreate that warmth. Hours passed. Luma's hands grew tired, but she finally managed to get the music box working again. With a soft click, it began to play a slightly tinny but recognizable tune. Luma clapped her small hands with delight. It was not perfect, but it was alive. Next came the photo frame. Luma searched through her scraps and found a piece of paper. She carefully drew a picture of herself and Mrs. Harper together. It was simple, almost childlike, but full of care. She placed it into the frame, tying it with the bright ribbon. Finally, she wrote her note. Her alien script was strange, but she carefully wrote in human letters, "Happy birthday, human." From Luma. She hesitated, rereading the words. They were simple, yet filled with meaning. She placed the note next to the gift, ready for delivery. Luma stepped back and looked at her creation. The music box, the framed picture, the ribbon, and the note all combined into a single gift. It was not perfect. It was not shiny or expensive, but it was hers. And she had poured all her effort, curiosity, and love into it. For the first time, Luma felt a deep connection to the human world. She understood that gifts were more than objects. They were tokens of care, bridges between hearts, and messages of thoughtfulness. And she was proud to send such a message to Mrs. Harper. That evening, as the city lights flickered and the drones hummed their patrols, Luma whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, I will give this to her. I hope she likes it." Human. Her violet eyes sparkled with determination, curiosity, and a small, hopeful excitement, and with that, the little alien girl drifted to sleep, dreaming of smiles, music, and the warm, gentle gaze of a human who had unknowingly inspired a small alien to care in a way her own world never could. The next morning, Luma woke before the sun rose over Zyphora. Her violet eyes gleamed with excitement. Today was the day she would return to the human trash market. She had learned the first steps of fixing her gift at home, but she needed more. She needed pieces, colors, and ideas that only the humans threw away. Luma wore her favorite small backpack, patched with bits of bright fabric she had found before. She tucked in a few tiny tools, a screwdriver, a magnifying glass, and a tiny brush for dusting off grime. Her heart thumped with both fear and thrill. The streets were quiet in the early morning, lit only by soft glowing lights from the floating vehicles above. The trash market was far from the shiny towers of the city, near the older human buildings. To most aliens, the area seemed chaotic and messy, but to Luma it was full of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. When she arrived, she gasped. The piles of discarded human items stretched higher than her head. Boxes full of old toys, broken gadgets, scraps of paper, Colorful fabrics, half-burnt candles, and small pieces of glass littered the area. Some humans walked slowly through the market, picking small items they could repair or reuse. Luma carefully navigated between the heaps. She felt a strange excitement at being among so many human things at once. The first treasure she found was a music sheet. The paper was slightly torn and the notes were faded, but she immediately recognized it from the tune Mrs. Harper had played once on the piano. Luma's small fingers trembled as she carefully tucked the sheet into her backpack. "This will help me make the music box sing like before," she whispered. Next, she spotted a small tin box painted with colorful patterns. The paint was chipped, but Luma imagined how the box could hold the music box or some other surprise. She brushed off the dirt and smiled. Humans often liked containers as gifts. Perhaps Mrs. Harper would put something inside it, or maybe it would be part of the decoration. As Luma crawled through a pile of old papers, she found a set of tiny photographs. The images were of humans smiling, playing with children and enjoying meals. The faces were faded, but Luma noticed the warmth in the human expressions. She realized that humans cherished memories more than shiny things. She carefully selected a few pictures, thinking she could draw or combine them with her gift. The adventure grew more challenging as she climbed higher piles. A loose board shifted under her weight and she slid slightly, grabbing a discarded fabric to steady herself. She laughed softly, exhilarated by the thrill. Unlike other aliens, she felt alive in this messy, chaotic place. Every item seemed full of stories, waiting for her to discover them. Suddenly, a loud whirring sound echoed behind her. Her small heart jumped. A patrol drone hovered nearby, its bright light scanning the market. Luma froze. She had almost forgotten the risk. One wrong move and the drone could alert the authorities. She ducked behind a heap of colorful fabrics and held her breath. The drone's light swept across the piles. Luma peeked carefully. It scanned the area but didn't seem to notice her. She stayed perfectly still until the drone moved on, its mechanical hum fading into the distance. She exhaled slowly, her small body trembling with adrenaline. Once the danger passed, she resumed her hunt with renewed determination. She found a small broken music box gear, tiny but essential. Luma knew she could repair it using her alien tools. Then she discovered a faded ribbon, soft and silky, perfect for tying the gift together. Each discovery made her imagination run wild with ideas. While searching, Luma met a human child named Ella, who was also scavenging small items. Ella had messy brown hair, a bright smile, and curiosity in her eyes. Unlike most humans on Sci-Fi, Ella had learned to navigate the alien city's rules carefully. "Hi, what are you collecting?" Ella asked, pointing at Luma's backpack. Luma hesitated. She had never spoken to a human like this before, but something about Ella felt safe. I'm making a gift," Luma whispered, "for my human neighbor. It is her birthday." Ella's eyes widened. "Wow, that's so thoughtful. You don't need perfect things. Humans love effort, really." Luma blinked. She had feared humans would not like gifts made from trash or broken items, but Ella's words gave her courage. "You really think she will like it?" Luma asked. Ella smiled. "Humans care about heart, not price. You just need to make it meaningful." Luma nodded, her confidence growing. She returned to the piles with renewed energy, imagining how each item could become part of her gift. She found tiny gears, small beads, colored threads, and even a tiny candle. Each discovery seemed like a piece of a puzzle she was assembling for Mrs. Harper. By noon, Luma had gathered a small mountain of items. Her backpack was heavy, but she carried it proudly. She paused to sit on a discarded crate and examined her collection. She could see how each piece might fit together. The music box would go inside the tin box. The ribbon would tie everything neatly. The photos and fabrics could decorate the box. And the note would be the heart of it all. Suddenly she heard voices. Other alien children had come to the trash market. They laughed loudly. "Look at her. Digging in human trash again?" Krill shouted. "She thinks a human will like this?" Luma's ears twitched. She wanted to shrink away, but she remembered Ella's words. Humans cared about heart, not judgment. She stood tall, picking up a small bead and threading it carefully. "It will be perfect." "Because I made it," she whispered to herself. The alien children snickered and left eventually, leaving Luma in peace. She worked carefully, arranging and rearranging her discoveries, imagining how Mrs. Harper's eyes would light up when she saw it. Every item had a purpose, even the broken ones. Luma realized humans saw value where aliens often saw waste. By the late afternoon, Luma's backpack was full, and her small hands were dusty and scratched. She carefully packed everything into a neat pile and began the walk home. The journey was slow and careful. She balanced the backpack on her back, occasionally adjusting a gear or ribbon that threatened to fall. When she arrived home, she set the items on her small table. The room smelled faintly of metals and fabrics, a strange but comforting combination. Luma examined each piece again, imagining how she could assemble them into a gift that spoke of her effort and care. She noticed something she had almost missed, a small, broken clock. It had a cracked face and missing hands, but Luma smiled. Humans valued moments, not machines. Perhaps this clock could be a symbol of time and memories. She tucked it aside carefully. Then, Luma picked up the music box and its tiny gears. Her small fingers worked delicately, fitting the gears into place. Slowly, carefully, she began to wind the box. It clicked. Then it whirred. And finally it sang. The tune was faintly off, but it carried warmth and life. Luma clapped softly, her heart dancing with joy. Next, she arranged the photographs inside the tin box. She layered the colorful fabrics beneath them, creating a soft bed for the images. The ribbon wrapped around the box, holding everything together. Luma examined her work. It was not perfect, but it was full of thought and care. Finally, she wrote the note. Her hands shook as she wrote, "Happy birthday, human." From Luma. It was simple, just 4 words, but they carried everything she wanted to say. She placed it on top of the box as if it were the heart of the gift. Luma leaned back and smiled. The gift was ready. She could not wait to see Mrs. Harper's face. Her small heart swelled with anticipation. Humans were strange, fragile creatures, but Luma now understood their strength. Their strength was not in machines or power, but in their ability to feel, care, and appreciate small acts of thoughtfulness. As the sun set over Zephora, Luma looked out the window. The city lights sparkled, but her eyes were on Mrs. Harper's building. She whispered softly to herself, "Tomorrow I will give it to her. I hope she likes it. I hope she knows how much I care." Luma lay down to rest, exhausted but happy. The treasure-filled trash market, the broken gears, the colorful fabrics, and the tiny photographs had all led her to this moment. She realized something important. It was not the value of the items that mattered. It was the love, effort, and thought behind them. That was the true magic humans appreciated. And with that thought, Luma drifted into sleep, dreaming of music boxes, ribbons, smiles, and the warm glow of a human heart that would soon open to a small alien's gift. The morning sun rose over Zephora, casting a soft glow on the small room where Luma had been working. The little alien girl rubbed her eyes and stretched her arms. Today, she thought, she would begin the most important part of her mission, assembling the gift for Mrs. Harper. She had collected all the items from the human trash market, but now it was time to turn them into something meaningful. Luma carefully laid out all her treasures on her work table. The music box rested in the center, its tiny gears humming softly after the repairs she had made yesterday. Around it, she arranged the tin box, the photographs, the fabrics, the small clock, the ribbon, and the note she had written. Everything looked messy, but in Luma's mind, each piece had a special place. She picked up the music box first. Its melody was soft but slightly off-key. Luma wanted it to sing clearly, just like she had heard Mrs. Harper play once. Using her tiny tools, she examined the gears again. One gear needed careful adjustment. Her small fingers worked with precision, aligning the pieces until the box clicked smoothly. She wound it up, and a clear, gentle tune filled the room. Luma clapped her hands softly, thrilled. Next, she turned to the tin box. She cleaned it carefully with a soft cloth, brushing away the dust and dirt. The colorful patterns, though chipped, still shone in the sunlight. She imagined the music box sitting inside it, safe and bright. With careful hands, she placed the music box in the box, making sure it would not move around. She smiled. Even though it was a simple container, it made the gift feel more complete. Luma's eyes then fell on the photographs. She had chosen a few images that showed human happiness. Children playing, people smiling, and small acts of kindness. She wanted to add a personal touch, so she decided to draw a small picture of herself with Mrs. Harper. Using scraps of paper and a small pencil, she carefully drew her green, shimmering self holding Mrs. Harper's hand. The The drawing was simple, almost childlike, but full of care. She placed it carefully in the box next to the music box. The fabrics came next. Luma wanted to make the gift feel soft and warm. She layered the colorful fabrics at the bottom of the tin box, creating a cushion for the items. Then she draped a bright frayed ribbon over the box, tying it in a neat bow. The ribbon was not perfect, but it added charm and personality. Luma admired her work. The colors, textures, and shapes came together in a way that made her heart swell with pride. Finally, she picked up the small clock she had found at the trash market. It was broken, with missing hands and a cracked face, but Luma saw its potential. She carefully cleaned it and placed it next to the music box inside the tin box. "Time is important," she whispered. "Humans love memories, not machines. This is for her to remember every happy moment." Then came the note. Luma's hands trembled slightly as she placed it on top of the gift. The words were simple. "Happy birthday, human." From Luma. She repeated the words softly to herself, imagining Mrs. Harper reading them and smiling. Luma felt a warmth in her chest she had never felt before. The note was more than words. It was a message from her heart to another being's. As she admired her creation, Luma felt a small pang of doubt. Would Mrs. Harper like it? What if the gift was too strange? What if humans did not understand the effort she had put in? She bit her lower lip and thought of Ella's words from the trash market. Humans love effort, really. Luma took a deep breath. She reminded herself that it was the thought that mattered, not perfection. For the next few hours, Luma worked tirelessly, adjusting the ribbon, straightening the fabrics, and polishing the music box. She hummed along with the tune it played, imagining it filling Mrs. Harper's home with the same warmth she had felt when she first heard it. Every small adjustment, every careful placement, was an act of love. During her work, she noticed the little imperfections in her creation, the chipped paint on the tin box, the torn edges of the ribbon, and the slightly crooked drawing. For most aliens, these flaws would make the gift useless, but Luma saw them differently. They were proof of her effort, proof that she had thought, cared, and acted. The gift was alive with her heart. Around mid-afternoon, a soft knock sounded at her door. Luma froze. Visitors were rare, especially at this hour. She carefully placed the tin box on her table and tiptoed to the door. Peeking through, she saw Ella, the human child from the trash market, holding a small basket. "Hi, Luma. I brought some extra ribbons and tiny decorations," Ella said cheerfully. "I thought they might help with your gift." Luma's violet eyes lit up. She invited Ella in, and the two worked together, adding small beads and colorful threads to the gift. Ella suggested placing the photographs at angles to make them more lively, and Luma carefully followed her advice. With Ella's help, the gift became even more beautiful and thoughtful. As they worked, Ella laughed and shared stories of human birthdays. She explained how humans cherished even the simplest gifts when they were made with care. "It doesn't have to be perfect," she said. "Humans love what comes from the heart." Luma listened intently, absorbing every word. She realized that humans had a unique way of valuing love and effort, something her own species often overlooked. It made her admire them even more. By evening, the gift was complete. Luma stepped back and admired their work. The music box sat securely in the tin box, surrounded by soft fabrics. The photographs and her drawing added a personal touch. The ribbon and decorations tied everything together. And on top, her note rested, ready to be read. Luma felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Tomorrow she would deliver the gift to Mrs. Harper. She imagined the human opening it, laughing, crying, or perhaps both. The thought made her chest flutter with anticipation. That night, Luma could barely sleep. She lay in her small bed, thinking about every step she had taken, finding items in the trash market, repairing the music box, drawing the picture, arranging the fabrics, and writing the note. Each moment had been filled with care, patience, and love. She realized that humans, though fragile, had a strength in their emotions and appreciation that was rare in the galaxy. The next morning, Luma woke early, her heart pounding. She carefully picked up the tin box and wrapped it in a simple cloth to protect it during the journey. She tucked the note inside once more, making sure it would be the first thing Mrs. Harper saw. Every detail mattered. As she prepared to leave, Luma felt a small surge of fear. What if Mrs. Harper did not like the gift? What if it seemed strange or unimportant? She shook her head. remembering Ella's encouragement and the lessons she had learned about human kindness. Humans did not care about perfection. They cared about thoughtfulness, effort, and love. Luma stepped out into the morning streets, the gift carefully balanced in her hands. The city was alive with activity. Aliens bustled about, humans walked quietly, and drones hovered above. Luma's small feet carried her swiftly but carefully toward Mrs. Harper's building. Along the way, she passed other humans. Some smiled at her, curious about the little alien carrying a small box. Luma returned their smiles, feeling a connection she could not fully explain. Humans, she realized, had a way of making others feel seen and valued, even if they did not know it themselves. When she reached Mrs. Harper's building, Luma paused. Her hands shook slightly and her heart raced. She carefully climbed the small steps and knocked on the door. The sound echoed softly in the quiet hallway. Moments later, the door opened. Mrs. Harper stood there, her kind eyes widening in surprise. "Luma, what are you doing here so early?" she asked warmly. Luma held out the gift with both hands. "Happy birthday, human," she whispered. I made this for you." Mrs. Harper's eyes softened. She reached out and gently took the tin box from Luma. She lifted the ribbon, untied it carefully, and opened the box. Her eyes widened as she saw the music box, the photographs, the fabrics, and the small drawing of herself and Luma. Then she read the note. "Oh, Luma," Mrs. Harper said softly, her voice trembling slightly. She looked at the little alien girl, then at the gift, and finally smiled warmly. "This is the most thoughtful gift I have ever received. You made this with your heart." Luma felt a warmth in her chest she had never known. Mrs. Harper's smile, her gentle words, and the sparkle in her eyes told her that the gift had been perfectly received. It did not matter that it was made from discarded items or that it was imperfect by alien standards. The love and effort behind it were all that mattered. Mrs. Harper knelt down and hugged Luma gently. "Thank you, little one. This gift is more special than anything I could have asked for." Luma hugged her back, feeling a joy so deep that it made her heart ache with happiness. She realized then that humans were truly remarkable. Their strength was not in power or technology, but in their ability to feel, care, and appreciate. As they sat together, listening to the music box play its soft tune, Luma felt a deep connection with Mrs. Harper. She knew that this was only the beginning of many shared moments, gifts, and stories. Humans had a way of touching hearts, and Luma had been lucky enough to experience it firsthand. That evening, as Luma returned home, her violet eyes sparkled with pride and excitement. She had faced challenges, doubts, and fear, but she had succeeded. She had created something meaningful, something full of heart, and she had learned a valuable lesson. True value comes from love and effort, not perfection or wealth. The morning sun painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange over Zephora. Luma woke early, her violet eyes wide with excitement. Today was the day she would see Mrs. Harper's reaction to the gift she had crafted so carefully. She could barely eat her breakfast, nibbling on a small nutrient pod while imagining the human's smile. With her backpack in hand, Luma carefully carried the tin box containing her gift. The music box inside hummed softly, reminding her of all the hours she had spent repairing it, polishing it, and arranging the photographs and fabrics. The ribbon still glimmered in the morning light. Everything was ready. As Luma approached Mrs. Harper's building, she noticed the small garden in front of it. Mrs. Harper had planted bright flowers that swayed gently in the morning breeze. Luma paused for a moment, admiring the way humans cared for small things. Even a simple flower could bring joy to them. She thought about how different humans were from aliens, who often only valued perfection and utility. Humans, she realized, valued care and thoughtfulness no matter how small. Luma climbed the steps and knocked gently on the door. Moments later it opened and Mrs. Harper appeared, looking surprised but happy. "Luma, good morning. Come in," she said warmly. Luma's small hand shook as she handed over the gift. "Happy birthday, human," she whispered softly. I made this for you." Mrs. Harper took the tin box carefully and set it on her table. She looked at Luma with curiosity, then slowly untied the ribbon. As she lifted the lid, her eyes widened. The music box, the photographs, the fabrics, the little clock, and Luma's drawing were all inside, arranged neatly and thoughtfully. And on top, Luma's note rested, "Happy birthday, human." From Luma. Mrs. Harper's hands trembled slightly as she read the note. Then a smile spread across her face. "Oh, Luma, this is wonderful," she said softly. Her eyes shone with warmth and appreciation. "You've put so much care into this. It's the most thoughtful gift I've ever received." Luma felt a rush of relief and happiness. Her chest swelled with pride and she smiled shyly. She had worried that Mrs. Harper might not understand her gift. But the human's reaction showed her that love and effort could cross any boundary, even between species. Mrs. Harper picked up the music box and wound it carefully. A soft melody filled the room, slightly imperfect but full of charm. She looked at Luma and laughed softly. "It doesn't need to be perfect," she said. "The effort and heart you put into this are what make it truly special." Luma listened to the music, feeling the tune wrap around her like a warm hug. She realized then that humans had a strength that aliens often did not understand. Their creativity, empathy, and appreciation for small acts of love made them remarkable. Mrs. Harper then picked up the photographs. She examined each one carefully, her eyes lighting up as she noticed the details. "These are wonderful," she said. "You even drew a picture of us together. How thoughtful." She held the drawing close and smiled. "I will treasure this always." Luma's small heart swelled. She had always admired humans, but seeing Mrs. Harper's reaction made her understand them more deeply. Humans were not only caring, but they were able to see the value in effort and emotion, something her own species sometimes overlooked. The little clock caught Mrs. Harper's attention next. She held it gently in her hands, examining the cracked face and missing hands. Then she laughed softly. "Even a broken clock can be meaningful," she said. "It reminds me that time is precious and that memories are what matter most." Luma nodded, realizing she had chosen well. The humans truly understood the beauty in imperfection. As they continued to explore the gift together, Mrs. Harper shared stories about her past birthdays, each one filled with laughter, small surprises, and heartfelt moments. Luma listened intently, fascinated by the human way of cherishing memories. Every story made her more certain that humans were special, not because they were powerful or advanced, but because they cared deeply and thoughtfully about others. After a while, Mrs. Harper set the music box and photographs aside and looked at Luma with a gentle smile. "You know, Luma," she said softly, "humans value gifts made from the heart more than anything expensive or perfect. You've reminded me of that today." Luma tilted her head, her violet eyes sparkling. "Really?" she asked. You like it?" Mrs. Harper nodded. "I love it. Every part of it. Your effort, your thought, and your care are what make it so special. You've given me more than a gift, you've given me happiness." Luma felt warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she truly understood humans. They were fragile in some ways, yes, but their hearts were strong and capable of great joy. She had always admired them from a distance, but now she felt connected to them in a meaningful way. Mrs. Harper then invited Luma to sit with her. They spent the morning together, talking, laughing, and listening to the soft tune of the music box. Luma shared stories of her own life on Zyphora, the strange gadgets and routines of her alien city, and her adventures in the human trash market. Mrs. Harper listened with genuine interest, asking questions and laughing at Luma's tales. As they talked, Luma realized that humans had a unique gift. They could make connections that crossed worlds, species, and differences. They saw value in care, creativity, and thoughtfulness, and through her small gift, she had experienced that connection firsthand. By afternoon, the sun cast long shadows across the room. Luma knew it was time to leave, but she did not want to. Mrs. Harper's warmth had made her feel safe and appreciated in a way few others had. "Thank you again, Luma," Mrs. Harper said, giving her a gentle hug. "You've made my birthday truly special. I will always remember this." Luma hugged her back, feeling a joy so deep it made her heart flutter. She had faced doubts, fears, and challenges, but she had succeeded in creating something meaningful. The humans had shown her that effort and care were more powerful than perfection or wealth. As Luma walked home through the streets of Zyphora, she thought about everything she had learned. The human strength lay in their ability to feel deeply, to appreciate small gestures, and to connect with others. Their creativity and empathy were extraordinary. Even in a world where machines and perfection dominated, humans reminded her of the importance of heart. When Luma returned to her small room, she carefully placed the remaining items from her gift on her table. She looked at the music box, the photographs, and the ribbon, remembering the joy they had brought to Mrs. Harper. She smiled, knowing that even small acts of kindness could create lasting happiness. That evening, as the city lights shimmered outside her window, Luma reflected on her journey. She had gone into the human trash market unsure of herself, faced challenges and doubts, and returned home with a gift that brought happiness to another being. She had learned that humans were remarkable not for their technology or power, but for their heart, creativity, and capacity to love. Luma drifted to sleep with a sense of accomplishment and wonder. She dreamed of humans smiling, laughing, and appreciating the little things in life. She dreamed of gifts made from love, of connections that crossed species and worlds, and of the joy that came from thoughtful actions. From that day forward, Luma carried the lesson of the gift with her. She saw the beauty in small gestures, the power of effort, and the strength in kindness. She knew that humans, though different from her species, had a unique and extraordinary gift, the ability to make the world brighter simply through their hearts. And so, the little alien girl who once whispered softly, "I'm searching the trash for a birthday gift for my mom, human," discovered something far greater than a simple gift. She discovered the true strength of humanity, the ability to care, create, and connect even across the vastest of differences. From that moment on, Luma's life was filled with curiosity, wonder, and a deep admiration for humans. She understood that no matter how small or different she might be, her heart could touch another being's in ways that mattered more than anything else. And in that understanding, she found a joy that was truly universal.